The Bill LuMaye Show.
Colonel Oliver North. And I got to tell you something. If you've not picked up his book yet, American Heroes in Special Operations, I mean, it was one of those books I picked up. I literally couldn't put it down. Without further ado, I want to bring Colonel Oliver North on. And, sir, thank you for taking time, and welcome back to the show.
Bill, it's great to be on with you again and all our great friends in the Carolinas. I will tell you this. It is a privilege for me to be able to keep company with heroes like those guys in this book.
They're incredible. It was one of those books that you were thrilled. It was exciting. You had the anxiety about how it was going to end. And also, it made my eyes water as well because of the people in that book. And this is why I really want to bounce this off you. And I know your love for the military and what is being proposed now by the Obama administration and Defense Secretary Gates and others about don't ask, don't tell. You know, your op-ed piece was pretty straightforward. Well, so tell me how you really feel, Colonel North.
I've written about this in the past. I'm unalterably opposed to the idea of allowing active homosexuals and lesbians to serve in the military. Now, there's a key word in that, and that's active. But I have no doubt. I don't know anyone that there were people serving in the military. I locked up a U.S. Marine for sodomizing a U.S. Navy sailor. I mean, I do know about those events. And I'm sure that there's others who have served that we never know about because they never carried out the acts. And unfortunately, the current administration is so wedded to keeping this campaign promise. They're willing to wreck the finest military force the world has ever known. And that's the frightening part of it because it really is the only institution you can count on in this country to get things done. I mean, other than getting felt up at the airport by TSA, not much else you can be sure of. That and taxes, maybe.
Well, that's true, but you are so. I mean, I feel the same way. Okay, I do. I think this is going to have a detrimental effect.
Some of our colleagues are just going to be tearing their hair out about this. But when you listen to the testimony of every one of the service chiefs who testified today, you listen to the input provided by non-commissioned officers. Bill, I've been out there 21 times now, and I'm not talking about just for a 3-hour pop-in like the commander-in-chief did today. I'm talking about I go out and spend months on end out there with these. I have never, very few alwayses and nevers in life, I have never heard a staff non-commissioned officer, meaning a staff sergeant or above in the Marine Corps or a chief in the Navy, I've never heard one of them advocate that bringing homosexuals, active homosexuals, into the ranks is a good idea. Not one. And this is the kind of stuff that you talk around a campfire about. You know, very rarely do these guys talk politics. But when this issue comes up, the leaders are adamant that this is going to be destructive to the good order and discipline, the very things that are in the law that I quote in the book, which, by the way, or in the article I wrote this week, the quote is from the law. Section 654 of Title 10 U.S. Code. The words don't ask, don't tell are not in the law. So that's a policy that was implemented by the Clinton administration to carry out the law. The law says active homosexuals, people who commit those kinds of acts, do not work in the military. That's all it says. And so if someone is a homosexual or a lesbian, or I guess, I've not seen this in any of the discussions about it so far, but transgendered or bisexual or whatever, all the other stuff that they've talked about, I suppose that as long as they don't act out their self-gratification, that they can easily serve. The problem is not who they are. The problem is what they do.
Oh, that really gets it right to the point, doesn't it? It really is all about that. How would they, when you talk about the finest force being demolished, specifically what do you mean?
Well, I'm talking about the attrition rate that's going to occur.
You think people are going to pick up and leave?
Well, the survey, and I read that survey. There are questions in that survey that I would not have bothered to ask, and other questions I would have asked. For example, in the spousal survey, that no one asks, would you want your children living in the same duplex or government apartment with a homosexual couple? Yes or no? See, they didn't ask that question. They always ask the question, well, have you ever known anybody who may be? And, of course, I suppose I've met people who may be, and I'd check yes on that. Well, does it bother you that person is alive on the planet Earth? No. So, therefore, they judge the parents children living on military bases are not going to be troubled by this. There's a reason why Boy Scout leaders are not allowed to be homosexuals. There's a reason why the Catholic Church has been through utter hell over the whole issue of pedophile priests. There's a reason why gym teachers get thrown in jail all the time for that kind of activity. And you really do want your son living next. What's going to happen is good God-fearing parents, when the youngster comes home and says, I'm thinking of enlisting in the Army, and the parents are going to say, do I really want my son being, tutored, taught, led, and maybe even rooming with a homosexual man? They're going to say, son, there's something else you can do with your life. We've got the finest military force that's ever been assembled in the history of man. There's never been one as well-trained, as well-educated, equipped, and led as the one we have today. There's never been one with as much combat experience as we have today. They're the best ambassadors we have in the world. And I know the State Department's going to take offense at that, but Muslim women and children are being protected by American Marines and soldiers wearing flak jackets and helmets. You don't want that first case of somebody, let's put it baldly, a recruit to NAMBLA running around a bunch of kids in some other country. It would be absolutely horrific, the consequences for the armed forces of the United States, and it will wreck it.